voiceovers, and would you say voice acting?
I prefer not to say voice acting, even though it's a correct term. I rely more on the voiceover kind of thing. I don't consider myself an actor per se, but we do extensive work in the acting field. But again, it's not just that we're doing a visual thing. We rely more on the vocal kind of things that we normally do. So yeah, I would say that voice acting would be one way to put it, but in the way I see it, I would say voice actor or voiceover would be my thing.
Okay. What was your first job in doing voiceovers?
We would have to go back in time a long way. I'm going to place myself in 1988. That was when I got my first gig on a radio station, and by the way, it was the first time that I set foot on a radio station, and I was given the responsibility of running a show, which I had never done before. I kind of pulled it off, I guess, because I'm still here. But the thing is that it was quite a demanding thing because we just didn't have a clue. I didn't have a clue of what to do, but I was, taken by the hand by several people that showed me the ropes of this, and I kind of understood what I had to do. And from there on, it was just, a kind of a natural thing for me.
That's awesome. What was your most interesting or your funnest job that you've had?
I've had a lot, and I think that a lot of the things that I do on a daily basis are really fun, and that's one of the beautiful things about this job, because it's ever-changing. There's no thing as the same thing or the repetitive thing that you're going to be doing on a daily basis, because everything is different. You have to have different approaches for every new project that comes along. Fun thing for me would be when I got the chance of being the voice of Warner Brothers for Latin America, which was one of my biggest gigs back in the day. And I do think that it was one hell of an opportunity, I can tell you that. But it was also a demanding thing because, again, I fell into a field that was not mine, which is promotions. And I've never done promotions before when I was called by Warner. And I was kind of, reluctant. Should I do this? Should I accept the responsibility? But I said yes anyway, and then figured it out. And again, I kind of did a good job because I stayed there for 22 years.
What were some of the hurdles that you had to jump through getting those bigger jobs and kind of figuring out where your playing ground was in them?
I wouldn't see them as hurdles. I would see them as things that you have to conquer as you move along in the business. It's about perfecting the craft. And the moment that I began this, I was working with the big names of the industry back where I'm from. And those were the guys that I idolized back in the day. And suddenly I was working with them. So that had me, either to up my game or do something about it, because otherwise I was just not going to do much. So it was about perfecting and getting, to be very critical of myself. And that gave me the tools to advance and get to a level that allowed me to do the different things that I ended up doing in my career.
Do you think that it took turns that you weren't really expecting to enjoy in the beginning, like this teaching thing? Were you kind of thinking is that as a path down the road, or was it kind of something that just got sprung upon?
The path that I thought I was going to take was to go on TV, which I eventually did, and basically I wanted to be a newscaster, which I eventually got the gig. But basically, I didn't see myself as a teacher. But when, years go by and you start doing things and you start learning things, I think it's time to pass on what you've learned. And some people attacked me back in the day because they thought, and talking about colleagues, they thought that I was giving away the secrets of the trade. And they told me that I was crazy of doing these kind of things because I was teaching our future competition. But I have a way of seeing this in a different manner, because to me, let's say you, by the time that you are where I am, either I'm dead or I'm retired, or if you kind of, go like a rocket up and end up where I am, so be it. What's the problem? We've got enough competition. I'm not worried about additional competition. So the fact of the matter is that I thought that the best way to do this was to up the game for the people that were coming behind us, teaching them what we have learned, even though we might be considered old school in the ways that we learn and the things we did back in the day. We are still very current on the things that we now do. And by the way, the techniques and all the things that we do are still the same. They haven't changed. So I think that the basic thing about teaching has been a very fulfilling experience for me. I did not see it coming. It came out of the blue. It was an opportunity given to me as a conference, kind of got a keynote speaker, and then it eventually evolved into teaching in colleges and things of that nature. It then got me traveling to different places in Latin America to teach different, professionals in the voiceover areas. And then here I am with you guys.
That's
basically.
Awesome. So you said that, oh my goodness, you guys are old school.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree and disagree. I definitely see where you would kind of bring in that old school nature of things, because you guys are the OGs. You have been doing it for a while. But I really love the fact that you're still in the industry. You're still, learning and keeping up with, the new, I guess, wave of media. How would you say that you personally keep up with that wave of media and the changes?
I would say that I come from the analog age, and a lot of changes have happened since that day to where we are now. I'm constantly trying to evolve. One of the things I normally say to my students is that basically I'm not in this business to become famous. I'm not in this business to be a recognized person. Even though a lot of people have heard my work, nobody knows who the hell I am. So that, and I find that kind of appealing, because with fame comes a lot of sacrifices as well, and fame comes and goes. To me, it's more about a business. To me, it's more about being able to make a living out of this, and that's what I've been doing for the last 35 years. To me, it's about being able to go out from the studio with my legs first. It's trying to go all the way till the end of days doing this, because I love what I do. I think and I find it rather amusing. I'm lucky and fortunate, I guess, to be able to do something that I really love and that I really think I'm good at, even though there's much better people than me in the industry, but it doesn't matter. I'm making a living out of this, and I'm enjoying it in the way I'm doing it. So if that's going to be the thing,
it's all
so
that
be
matters.
it.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
Absolutely. So as you were kind of building your platform for being a voiceover, how would you kind of reach out and network with other companies and potential business?
Networking, to me, and that's a very good question, by the way, networking is one of the most difficult things that we have to do in this industry. A lot of people are lost when it comes to finding out, okay, who do I have to talk to get the opportunities? And I found myself in the same predicament when I came to the U.S. Because I have a long career, but I had a long career in another country.
Right.
So this means that when I came to the U.S., I knew nobody. So I had to start from scratch again, which is kind of difficult for a guy that's been already established in the industry doing something. Now it turns out that I don't know anybody and I have to start from scratch. So that's what I did, and I started analyzing the business and analyzing how things are done here in the U.S. And understood that networking was a pivotal part of the things that we have to do. Networking begins in the voiceover industry with getting the proper representation. If you don't have that, I don't think that you're going to make it, because you're not going to have access to any clients whatsoever. There's other ways to do it through, through voiceover marketplaces and things of that nature. But again, representation is one of the most important things that you need to have. So my best guess would be, and that was the direction I took when I began doing this experiment of knowing and getting to know the American business or American market, was, okay, I need representation. Where do I need representation? Because I'm based in Miami, but I think that Miami is just a small step into the bigger things that we can do in this country. So I ended up getting representation in different parts of the country, which gives me kind of a bigger or a broader look at what's going on in the whole United States. I can see from coast to coast what's going on, different markets, because this country is comprised of different markets. If you're not accessing those different markets, you're just, getting half of the pie or even less.
And the fact that you're multilingual only opens more markets for
The fact that I'm multilingual, I don't think it adds much to it because, for example, I'm not going to be competing with someone like you. You're an American-born citizen, so you have a different way, and you can feel my heavy accent here. I don't stand a chance unless the project requires some accented English. That would be something. But my main area of work for me would be the Hispanic market, which is it's a very big market. So I wouldn't if I have to go inside the American market, so be it. But I won't stand a chance, or at least I will have reduced opportunities against people that were born here and that have a different way of approaching things and doing things in their own way and in the way they speak. It's going to be completely different. So I wouldn't even consider it.
I never thought about asking for that too. That's an interesting. So did your success kind of change your life in ways that you didn't think that it would?
I don't think so. I think my success was something, and as we spoke earlier, my success was something kind of quiet. Again, when I was working for Warner Brothers, my voice was being heard by more than 35 million people on a daily basis. That's huge. My voice was being heard in 19 different countries. That's huge. But again, nobody knew who the hell I was.
Right, no
So I think it was something that was inside the industry. My name was, running around inside the industry. People knew who I was inside the industry. But outside, very few knew what I was up to and what I was doing and who I was.
Nice, you get all of the perks of, the industry and, the money side of it, but you don't have to deal with the people.
You don't have to deal with that. And I know a lot of people that work on TV, a lot of, personalities, and I've been with them, and I can tell you it's not a nice thing to be when you are or trying to have an intimate moment or a personal moment, and you're being constantly interrupted by people that want to talk to you, that want to approach you, those kind of things. No, I prefer to be on the in anonymity and still do the things I do and get paid for the things I do.
Absolutely. Don't see anything wrong with it. Let's throw it back a little bit. Tell me about, your life growing up, kind of how you got into the voice acting or the voice acting, sorry.
I have a story that's very similar to, I don't know if you guys know who Don LaFontaine was. Don LaFontaine was called in the U.S. the voice of God. He was one of the most renowned voiceovers that this country has had in a number of years. He passed away like 5 or 6 years ago. Don LaFontaine had a story about being like 13, 14 years old, and he had kind of a high-pitched voice, and suddenly, from one second to the other, it completely changed to a deep, big, boomy voice. I happen to have the same kind of story. My voice, it did not happen the way that happened to LaFontaine, but it went gradually from a high-pitched voice to a more deeper baritone kind of voice. And everybody told me, you should be a voiceover. You should be a voice. And I was, I should be. And there's a lot of voiceovers in my family as well. So it kind of was probably a genetic kind of thing that was, running inside me. And I ended up listening to radio stations from the U.S. and from Brazil. And I was memorizing what the DJ said, and I was, walking to school, and I was, doing that same thing as I walked on my own. I was saying 97, 8, whatever the first song. I was, talking as DJ, and it stuck. I began considering it in a way until the opportunity finally came. I did it. I got paid for it. I didn't like the pay. It was really bad, really crappy. And I thought, because I already had a college career, so I thought, should you do this? Because it doesn't pay that much. But eventually I stuck to it and started taking off in my career. The money started, coming in, and I thought, and I saw this as a very different thing. And I kind of, put away my first college career, and then I stayed with this.
So what was that first college career? What were you planning?
I have a degree in human resources, which doesn't have anything to do with this. And I was already in the industry when I was kind of halfway through the career. So I ended up saying, okay, well, I'm halfway through. Let's just finish this thing and let's see how it goes. But once I got it, I eventually ended up taking journalism probably 10 or 15 years later. And I ended up having my second degree, which is the one that I needed in the first place, which was journalism. So basically, I was studying something that didn't have absolutely nothing to do with this industry, and still doesn't. But in a way, it also, opens your vision into doing things and the culture you need to do or be able to do these things.
What? Where do you see yourself in 5-10 years? Do you think you're gonna still be teaching? What's your path from here?
I don't know if I'm still going to be teaching on in that long. I guess we have an expiration date somewhere, but I would think that where I see myself is doing more interesting stuff. Probably not that much into the voiceover business, but into other areas that doesn't even have to do with the industry itself. I'm trying to do some other ventures in different areas that are not even related to this. But one thing's for sure, I will not end my career, even though I will be doing different things. I will be in parallel, be doing the same thing. Where this takes me. Opportunities always come and go. You have to know where to take them and how to take them. But if one thing I'm sure is, and I told you before, my legs go out first from the studio.
So when you have other jobs in California, New York, those types of places, do you have to travel to go see these businesses, or are you is it remote and you can just kind of get sent the script?
Back in the day, it used to be a traveling thing, not anymore. And with the advent of technology, I do think that it's unnecessary. And by the way, it keeps costs down. Having a talent travel all across the country would significantly increase production costs. And now with the technologies we have like ISDN, Source Connect, things of that nature, the job has been reduced to a home studio, and everybody in this industry is working with a home studio. Very simple setups with very good sound. Technology has reduced itself to a level that we just need very little gear, because when we went to big studios back in the day, it was a bunch of gear scattered all around the studio. Nowadays, with 2, 3, or 4 kind of things that we might have, we are all set, and we have the ability nowadays to be able to connect ourselves with a studio. Say, I'm in Miami, and I have a connection with LA. The agency is in LA, and we are talking in real time. They're receiving my signal in real time. They're getting everything in real time, so we don't even need to move ourselves, which makes it nice for the client. I would prefer to travel, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for, people upcoming in this industry, voiceovers, or just kind of media in general?
I do have one word to say to everybody, and that is perseverance. It takes a while. This thing, and given that nowadays people are just looking for instant gratification, this is not the place to be and to get that instant gratification. It will take some time. I won't say it will take you guys as long as it took me, because things have changed. But I will say that it doesn't come easy, but it starts by you being very critical of yourself, being very hard on the things you do, and try to look for the solution on your own. Don't let anybody else kind of point the way, unless it's something important for you, or maybe a piece of advice that you should take, and you should, by the way. But try to the most to be able to find yourself with the solution that you need for the problem that you have. And the problem is that you saw something, you heard something, you did something, and you said, could I have done it better? What would happen if I would have done this instead of this?
Tweak.
And do it, tweak it, move it, change it, and see the results. And then you'll see how you will, increase and grow in your business. All right?
Thank you so much, Edgar.
My absolute pleasure, Rachel.